There are two great reasons for educators to take up design thinking. First, it's a fun, hopeful, optimistic way for teachers and administrators to work together to make their schools even better. And second, students learn more from who we are than what we tell them. If we want students to see the value of design thinking, then we should demonstrate that in our own practice. The best way to get students to embrace innovation through iteration is to try it ourselves.
Our goal, our purpose, was to start thinking about the future of education, the philosophy. Where is education heading? So many of the independent schools are really steeped in the classics of where education has been for a long period of time, but we know that in the 21st century, things are changing rapidly.
We're at the infancy stage of design thinking at the Benjamin Banneker Charter Public School. And to be fair, we're still learning about the process. But where I see it fitting is around the thinking of it. It's around the whole notion that when there's a problem, we have to look at it from different and various perspectives. We have to think about how it might impact other people, how other people's perspectives impact the problem. And that helps us with the solutions.
You know, bringing something like design thinking or innovation to the school is really about change management and trying to help people change, and that's tricky. So for us to foster it, it really started as a grassroots kind of organic movement, in that we found teachers who seemed like they would be interested in this already or were doing aspects of it already, and help them to go and see it in place at other schools that were doing it.
Some of the barriers that we've experienced in bringing design thinking to schools is that it is new. If you ask people to define what design thinking is, it's very hard to wrap your mind around a specific definition. So because there's a certain element of the unknown, or you really can't put your hands on it, people are worried about adopting it. And then you need teachers who are willing also to take chances and to possibly make changes and not do something the same way they've been doing it for years, because it's easier not to change than it is to change.
The question of how to bring in more of this type of studio-based and creative learning into the school system, I think is a big question for heads of schools, administrators, and teachers who are looking, to the future and questioning and trying to find a pathway of how to do this. And it's really interesting, I think most schools think it's about a space issue, or it's about a technology resource issue, but really I think it's more about the mindset and enriching and creating opportunities for that design mindset and that creative mindset to be incorporated into the school system.
The most common strategy for school improvement over the past few decades has been the replication of best practices, where people find something that works in one context and they try to replicate the same practice elsewhere. But time and time again, when an effective strategy works in one classroom or one school or one district, it fails to be equally effective when adopted somewhere else. If we want good ideas to take root, solutions have to be adapted to each local context, which includes the people, the organization, and the community. Human-centered design can help us find and adapt solutions to meet the needs and problems of different users and different communities.
As human-centered designers, we take an innately people-centered view of the world, right? We want to empathize with the needs of the individuals that we're designing for. On the other hand, when you're dealing with something as complex as urban education, there are times when the needs of the system need to mesh with the needs of the individual.
What we're really focused on is actually enabling the district and the players in the district. So I mean really specifically principals, teachers, network superintendents, people who work in central office to design their own projects. And the reason that it's important that we really just facilitate them being able to design their own projects is this idea of inception is really important, that they have ownership over these ideas, because that's the only way it'll be sticky, and that they'll be interested in carrying it forward.
Just as design thinking is a process that looks different wherever you apply it, human-centered systems design is really going to look different depending on the context, but it has this common core, which is this idea of going through an iterative process together and keeping at the heart of that process, seeing from other perspectives and sort of keeping the idea of human perspectives at the center.
Some of the language of design might be new for educators, but I think in particular educators have been doing this forever. They always think about who is their audience, how do you tailor the message to the audience, how do you really empathize with the person or people sitting in front of you and make sure that what you're doing is actually meeting their needs. I think that's been a hallmark of education for a long time, and we're just trying to equip people with new tools and new language and a new approach that they can use in complement with the other things that they're already doing to think about issues in education or problems in education in just a slightly reframed way.
Designers approach new challenges with a spirit of hope and optimism. If we don't like the way things are now, new futures can be constructed. We're big proponents of using the design thinking process as a catalyst for change in schools. When educators imagine what is possible and set aside what appear to be immovable constraints, the energy they exude is palpable. People enjoy working on challenges that empower them to work with colleagues as creators and designers.